In this brief video tutorial, I'll show you how to 3D print a spinner using the from scratch technique. So if you want to do a completely original design, this is going to be how you're going to do it. And I recommend this for people that are comfortable with Tinkercad, intermediate 3D modelers. So let's begin. So first thing we want to do is I have designed a little template which should help make this much easier for you guys. So if you type in up here publicTemplateSpinner and then search, there's my design. You want to click on it and then copy and tinker. And so these are rings that are designed for your standard 608ZZ bearings. There's also little holes sized for the bearings, for dimes, and for pennies if you want to weigh your spinners so they spin longer. And we have half tall ball bearing holders. So those are 3 millimeters tall. So the normal ball bearings sits thick, and then this is also sits thick, so that's a full one. So in our particular case, we are going to get rid of all this extra stuff. Don't need any of that. We just want to use this guy right here. And honestly, we don't need most of these rings in this particular case either, so I'm going to get rid of some of these. In your case, you can keep them, or you can delete whichever ones you want. So to delete, all I'm doing is left clicking on the orange bit and pressing the delete key on the keyboard. Backspace works too. So now I have just one ring, and the reason why we went to all this trouble to use the template is this ring is perfectly sized for a ball bearing, and it's just thick enough that it should be nice and durable. So onto this, we could attach whatever we want. So for example, just a super duper simple example, you could grab this guy, rotate, put it right on the surface, and then shrink it down to sits to match the ball bearing. I could then stretch that out, rotate. As long as it overlaps that ring, it'll print together in one piece. So in this particular case, I'm gonna do, let's see if you guys can guess what I'm designing here. Let's make that yellow. That'll give you a clue. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So you can see this tip is overlapping the ring, so I'm going to grab a cylinder, drop it in the middle here, and I'm going to up this to 60, and then I'm going to change the size to 22.6, and I'm just clicking 22.6 right there and there, make it bigger, and I'm going to click and drag to select both. And then click up here to line, click here and here. That centers it perfectly in the middle of the loop. And now I want to center the triangle, so I click just here, and that's all. Now I'm going to scoot it down using the down arrow key. So I don't want it to be too thin in any particular part, otherwise it might break. That looks pretty good. I'm also checking the size, as you can see here. So that's 30, and that's about 25. So just from experience, I know the total distance from here to here, you usually want to be 40, so I'm going to bring this in even more. So that way, let's see, 1, 2, 3, a little bit under 4 of these little blocks. That should be perfect. So now, I'm gonna click on the shape, click on the hole, group, and now it's not entering the ring, which is what we want, otherwise the ball bearing wouldn't fit in here. So now that we have one side of the ball bearing done, we can make copies of it and paste them all the way around. And I recommend that you do it that way. You could make it so that it's one shape on one side, another shape here, and another shape there. But generally for spinners, it's better if it stays symmetrical so it wobbles less when it spins. It's all up to you though. So now that I'm happy with one of my sides, I'm going to click up here to make a copy. And I'm gonna just click here and turn it around 180 degrees like so. And I'm going to grab this guy and use the down arrow key to scoot it into place. I could use my mouse to do this, but generally the arrow keys are much more precise. So now, this is good for a, what would we call it, a bi-spinner? A two-sided spinner? But let's say we wanted to do 4. That's actually very simple. So you want to hold on the shift key and click on the other one. And now both of these are selected, but not this one, as you can kind of see from the blue outline. So I press group up here. And now it's one shape. And if I press duplicate and rotate 90 degrees, now I have like a, what would you call that? Like a World War II symbol? Kind of looks like something from Germany or something. Oops! My height's too high. Good thing I caught that. So that should be sits for both. It's always why it's useful to look at it from all sorts of angles as you work, just to make sure it's okay. So that's a 4-sided one. But let's say we wanted to do 3 sides. That's completely possible. You could eyeball it and just you know, get it so it looks okay. But if you want to do it precisely, this is how you do it. So we're back to this step where we have these two guys together. And now we want to copy again, but instead of 180, instead of 90 degrees like this, we want to go all the way, come on. We want to go, and you want to take your mouse and hold it out here, not in here, out here, and go to 120. And then release when it's at there. And then we want to press duplicate again. And it automatically makes another copy the other way. So now, as you can see, it have a nice sit-sided one. And I'm going to ungroup each of these by clicking on them and clicking on group. So now they're perfectly lined up, and I can get rid of whichever ones I want. Like this is a nice sit-sided one, but if I wanted 3, I just get rid of this, I get rid of this, press delete key, and there we go. Now we have a 3-sided one, just like that. And as a last note, if you don't want to build the individual side completely by yourself in Tinkercad, you can grab something from Thingiverse. Like, maybe I want those nice beefy arms, for example. So I go Thing Files, click on the .stl, and download it to your computer. Then in here, we want to click Import, choose a file, click the one that you downloaded, click Open, press Import. Now, depending on how complicated the thing is, it might take longer to download into Tinkercad, and also depending on your internet, it might be quicker or slower too. My internet's real slow, so, but just be patient and just wait till it pops in.